Erev Tov and good evening, everyone. We are in the Zera Shimshon on Parsha Be'halot'cha. And in order to understand this piece, we're going to need to look at three sections of Psukim and also a couple of Rashis. So let us begin by going back to Parshas Tetzaveh. And this is the first time in the Torah where the menorah is mentioned. This is, of course, in Shmos. It's in Perek Chaf, Chaf Zayin, Pasuk Chaf, the beginning of Parshas Tetzaveh. So the Torah says, Ve'ata Tetzaves b'nei Yisrael, and you should command to b'nei Yisrael, ve'yikchu eilecha, and they should take for you, shemen zayis zach kosis la'ma'or, they should take pure olive oil which has been pressed for illumination, lahalos ner tamid, to bring up a lamp continually or eternally. And that means to light the menorah. This is the talking about lighting the menorah every evening. So on this pasuk, Rashi says, "Laha'alos ner tamid," to cause to rise up the ner tamid, the continual light. Madlik, it is lit ad shetehei shalheves ola me'aleha, until the flame goes up by itself. So we can see that Rashi is focusing on the word leha'alos, to bring up, to cause to go up. And he says, what does it mean to cause to go up? Well, it's referring to the flame of the lamp. You need to light it until you see that the flame is rising on its own. Of course, we know from when we light candles, just think of lighting candles for Shabbos candles, for Havdalah candles, for a birthday cake. Whenever you light candles, if you pull away the match too soon, sometimes the flame goes right out. Our Hanukkah candles probably is the most appropriate example. So it says lahalos ner tamid. Rashi says lahalos, to cause to go up. Make sure that the flame of the menorah lamps are going up, each one by itself, before you move on to the next one. So that's the first pasuk in Rashi that we need to look at, that the Zera Shimshon is going to discuss. Now we're turning to Parshas Emor, and here we are in Vayikra Perek Chaf Dalid, pasuk Aleph. We're going to read Aleph and Beis. So the Torah says, "Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lemor," and Hashem said to Moshe, saying, "Saves b'nei Yisrael, command b'nei Yisrael, v'yikchu eilecha shemen zayis zoch kosis la'ma'or," and they should take for you pure olive oil which has been pressed for illumination, laha'alos ner tamid, to cause to go up the ner tamid, the continual light. And here Rashi does not comment on the word laha'alos as he did in Parshas Tetzaveh. So here we have a pasuk which is almost word for word, not exactly, but very, very similar to the pasuk we looked at in Parshas Tetzaveh a moment ago, a very similar pasuk that talks about lighting the menorah. And here Rashi doesn't talk about laha'alos, to cause to go up. Okay, now let's look at our third pasuk, and that's in our Parsha of Beha'alotcha. And the Torah says at the beginning of our Parsha Be'halot'cha, "Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lemor," and Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, "Daber el Aharon ve'amarta elov," speak to Aaron and say to him, "Beha'alotcha es haneros," when you up the lamps, "El mul penei hamenorah ya'iru shivas haneros," towards the face of the menorah should you light the seven lamps of the menorah. Okay, so here we don't have the word leha'alos, to cause to go up, but we have beha'alosecha, when you cause to go up, when you cause the lights, the flames of the menorah, of the lamps, to go up. So on this pasuk, Rashi says, beha'alosecha, when you cause to go up, al shem shehalahav oleh, since the flame goes up, kosav bahadla koson loshen aliyah. The Torah writes when it talks about lighting these lamps of the menorah, it uses a loshen aliyah, a language of going up. So Rashi is explaining that why does it say beha'aloscha, when you cause to go up? Because the flames go up. So it means when you light the flame will go up. And so that's the lashon that Rashi's explaining the lashon of aliyah, of going up. Which means that he has to light the lamp in such a way that the flame goes up by itself, which of course we saw in the first Rashi in Tetzaveh, this idea of lighting it until it burns on its own. Then Rashi continues, Ve'o darshu rabosenu mikan, and furthermore, or in addition, our rabbis Chazal interpreted this pasuk to teach us another lesson, another limud, Shema lahayasa lifnei hamenorah, that there was a ramp, or that there were steps actually going up, placed in front of the menorah. She'aleha hakohen omed umetiv, and on these steps the kohen would stand when he cleaned out the menorah and when he lit the menorah. So Rashi adds here the idea that going up, Beha'alotcha, when you go up, is not just a reference to lighting the candles, the lamps of the menorah, and making sure that each flame is going up before you move on to the next one. Chazal also say, why is there a lashon of going up? Because the Kohen would walk up this little, almost like a step stool, or go up these little steps and then stand on the top in order to be able to reach the very top of the menorah and to do what he needed to do in terms of the service of the menorah. So those are the psukim, and those are the Rashis that we need to see, and the Zera Shimshon is going to discuss that. We are on Daf Kuf Ayin in the sefer, Os Aleph, section number 1, and the Zera Shimshon says as follows. Pasuk, there is a pasuk here at the beginning of our Parsha, Beha'alotcha es haneros, when you cause the neros to go up, when you cause the lamps to rise up. Pirish Rashi explains, Al Shem Shehalahav Ole, since the flame goes up, Kosuv Beha'alotcha Lashon Aliyah. The Torah writes, when it talks about lighting the lamps of the menorah, a language of going up. Shetzarech lahadlik ad shetehei shalheves ola me'ileho, because he needs to light it when Aaron lights the menorah. When the Kohen Gadol lights the menorah, he needs to light each one and keep lighting the same one until the flame is burning by itself and going up on its own. That, of course, is the Rashi that we just saw. The Od Darshu, and another drasha that the Chazal bring on this pasuk, Mikan, from here, Shema lahayasa, that there was a step or steps going placed in front of the menorah, v'chule, etc. That's again the end of the Rashi that we just read, that there were steps for the Kohen Gadol to stand on and to walk up when he lit the menorah. So Rashi says, Koshe, this is difficult. Lama b'Parshas Tetzaveh. How come back in Parshas Tetzaveh, which were the first psukim that we looked at? By the way, the reference you might want to change it. It's an important change. Here in the sefer it says Shmos Perek Lamed Pasuk Ches, and that does actually refer to a pasuk in Parshas Tetzaveh that talks about the menorah. But the pasuk that he actually is referring to here is Shmos Perek Chav Zayin Pasuk Chav. So where it says Shmos Perek Lamed Pasuk Ches, that's a typo. You should change that to Shmos Perek Chav Zayin Pasuk Chav, which is the pasuk that we looked at. So the Zera Shimshon says, Gabe lahalos ner tamid, regarding the words lahalos ner tamid, to cause to go up a light continuously. Lo kosav, Rashi did not write Ella, except shetzarech lahadlik ad shetehei shalheves ola me'ileho. Rashi only wrote over there in Tetzaveh that you need to light the flame so that it goes up by itself. That's all Rashi wrote over there. Uba Parshas Emor, and if you look in Parshas Emor, al pasuk lahalos ner tamid, which is the second set of psukim we looked at, where it also talked about, again, we said it was almost the same exact pasuk as in Tetzaveh, about lighting the menorah. Lo pirish klum. Rashi doesn't explain anything. So on the first time the menorah is mentioned, Rashi talks about rising up, causing to rise up, meaning getting the flame to go up independently. The second time the menorah is mentioned in Parshas Emor, Rashi doesn't explain anything. V'lama dafka bekan, and why specifically here in our Parsha Be'halot'cha, which is the last or the latter of all the times the menorah has already been mentioned. Hevi Darshas Rabosenu. Here Rashi brings the drasha of Chazal about for the first time, he brings the drasha of Chazal about the steps that were placed in front of the menorah. The Kodem law, and before bringing that drasha, Hiktim HaPerish, he proceeds to bring the explanation, Shetzarech Lahadlik, that you need to light the flame until it goes up by itself. Shekvar Amru Lamala, which he already said back in Parshas Tetzaveh. Ela Shebekan Hosif Hatam, but here he adds the reason, Al Shem Shehalahav Ole, because the flame goes up, that's why the Torah uses a Lashon Aliyah. So Rashi, what the Zera Shimshon is calling attention to is the fact that Rashi has done something which seems counterintuitive, which seems problematic. Why? Because if Rashi had certain things, certain lessons, certain drushos of Chazal that he wanted to convey to us, you would think the best place to do that would not have been Parshas Be'halot'cha. It would have been back in Parshas Tetzaveh, the first time that the menorah is mentioned, and the language of lahalos ner tamid, to cause to go up a lamp continuously. The first time those words are used, the first time lahalos, this lashon aliyah, this language of going up, is used, you would think, okay, that's the place. Here's Rashi's opportunity to talk about everything he said here in Be'halot'cha, meaning to talk about the fact that because a flame goes up, that's why we use the lashon aliyah. That's where this laha'alos, to cause to go up, comes from, and to also mention that the person lighting the menorah, the Kohen Gadol in this case, Aaron specifically, in our case of Beha'alotcha, but be that as it may, who's ever lighting the menorah has to light it in such a way that the flame rises up independently. And then also mention the drasha of Chazal, the additional drasha of Chazal about the steps in front of the menorah, which also is reflected in going up. The Kohen would go up those steps to light the menorah. So we would think Rashi could have, maybe more reasonably, written his comments back then in Tetzaveh. But instead, what did Rashi do? Rashi made one of the three possible comments in Tetzaveh, no comment in Parshas Emor, and then all three comments, repeating the one from Tetzaveh, and then adding two additional comments, a little more explanation and amplification, and then bringing in the drasha for the first time of the steps here in Beha'alotcha, which is again, as we said, the latest point in the Torah to talk about it. So that's what the Zera Shimshon wants to work with us to understand. So let's continue in the next paragraph. The Yesh Lomar, and we can say, the Rashi hirgish lama davka be'inyan halokas hamenorah omar hakosov tomi loshen ha'alo. The thing in the words in the psukim that Rashi felt he needed to explain were the fact that specifically regarding the menorah, the Torah uses, anytime it mentions the menorah, a lashon ha'alo, a lashon of causing to go up. Mashalo matzinu b'chol Torah lashon ha'alo, where we don't find the Torah using this language of causing to go up, beha'alotcha ha'esh, when the Torah talks about lighting fire. There are many times in the Torah when the Torah is discussing lighting a fire. Certainly, if we think of the korbanos, there are all kinds of different laws about the korbanos on the mizbeach, and not just that. There's lighting the ketores on the mizbeach hapnimi, the inner mizbeach, the mizbeach hazohav. So we have lots of different reference, whether it's different kinds of korbanos on the mizbeach hanechoshes, the larger of the two, the outside mizbeach, or the inner mizbeach where only incense was burned. But we have lots of times, and there are other places as well, where the Torah talks about lighting a fire. And it doesn't use this language of ha'alah, of causing to go up, of causing flames to go up. But when it comes to the menorah, Rashi realized and put and noted the fact that here, each time the menorah is mentioned, this lashon of ha'alah, of causing to go up, is used exclusively. Umishum hachin, because of this, hiktim Rashi l'taretz kushazu, because Rashi realized this, he the first chance he got in Parshas Tetzaveh to explain this phenomenon, he did it. B'va'ata Tetzaveh, back in Parshas Tetzaveh. Shehi hapam harishona shehuzkar inyan hamenorah b'kosav, which is the first time that the Torah mentions the menorah. So the first chance that Rashi got in Parshas Tetzaveh, when the Torah mentions the menorah for the first time, that's where Rashi says, okay, I want to note this lashon ha'olah, this lashon of causing to go up. Upirish, and he explained, shetzorech lahadlik ad shetehei shal heves v'chu, that the menorah lamps need to be lit in such a way that the flame goes up, each one goes up by itself. Dizehu hamashmaos shel lahalos, that this is the meaning of the word leha'alos, to cause to go up. So Rashi explained, he dealt with it right there in Parshas Tetzaveh in a concise, clear way. Upa Parshas Emor, in Parshas Emor, lo pirish klum. Rashi didn't explain anything in Parshas Emor. Mishum disham ein kusha klal, because there's no question about why the Torah used the language of leha'alos. Shahare pirish Rashi atzmo sham, because Rashi himself explains there in Parshas Emor. Rashi says, Tzaves b'nei Yisrael, what it says there, command b'nei Yisrael, zu Parshas mitzvahs haneros. This is the place in Parshas Emor, not Parshas Tetzaveh, not the first time the menorah is mentioned. In Parshas Emor, this is the place, Rashi says, where we have the Parsha, the section of the Torah that's dealing with the mitzvos of lighting the neros of the menorah. Parshas Tetzaveh, and when we talked about the menorah, lighting the menorah back in Parshas Tetzaveh, lo nemra ela al seder melechas hamishkan v'chuli. That wasn't brought, that the Torah didn't bring the discussion of lighting the menorah there, except as part of the Melechas HaMishkan, because the Torah in Parshios Truma and Tetzaveh is going through all of the different construction, all of the different things that needed to be made for the Mishkan. Those are the two Parshios where everything involved with the Mishkan, all the different kelim, all of the different utensils and the items, and even the big day kahuna, the clothes that the Kohanim wore, all of those things are discussed in Truma and Tetzaveh. That's the Melechas HaMishkan, the work of building everything needed for the Mishkan. And that's why the menorah was mentioned there. Im kain, if so, huchruch lomar hakol lashon echad. Therefore, we understand that everything is one lashon. Mishum dehainu hach Tetzaveh. When we talk about lighting the menorah in Parshas Emor, we understand that it has the same principles as what was discussed when the menorah was first mentioned back in Parshas Tetzaveh. V'leka lemedrash minei klal. And there's nothing additional to learn from the fact that the Torah used the word laha'alos, to cause to go up in Emor a second time. Umnam, however, Bekan here in Beha'alotcha chazar v'hirgish mitachila. Rashi goes back and he feels again this issue of this language of causing to go up mitchila, as if it were for the first time. Moving to the second column, lama kosav Beha'alotcha. Why did the Torah write when you cause to rise up? Shahayilo lichtov beha'alos, because the Torah could have, and we would have expected it to write beha'alos when it goes up, or when it is caused to go up, below chaf, without the letter chaf at the end. Beha'aloscha, when you cause it to go up. So let's pause here before the Zera Shimshon continues explaining and developing his explanation, his answer. He's saying that if you look at the 3 times the menorah is mentioned that we've discussed, again, the first time in the whole Torah is in Parshas Tetzaveh. So Rashi says that is talking about the Melechas HaMishkan. It's not really talking about the specific mitzvah to light the menorah as part of the avoda that was done in the Mishkan. It's talking about we need to build an aron, we need to build a shulchan, we need to build a mizbeach, two mizbeachs, 2 altars, we need to build a kior, a basin, and we need to build a menorah for lighting. And in that context, because the Torah used the word leha'alos, ner tamid, to bring up a continual light on this menorah, Rashi says, okay, it's the first time, leha'alos, so let me explain. Leha'alos means to cause the flame to rise up on the menorah by itself. And then the next time is in Parshas Emor, and there in Parshas Emor, it actually is talking about the mitzvah to light the menorah as part of the avodah that was done. One of the avodos, one of the services that was done in the Mishkan was the daily lighting of the menorah. And so there, Rashi doesn't talk about the word laha'alos because he relies on the fact that he already explained the laha'alos back in Tetzaveh. So that covers the first two, and Rashi says those first two go together. First one talked about the building of the menorah that was going to be lit. Second one talked about the actual mitzvah to light the menorah, and we're covered laha'alos. The word laha'alos has been explained. Now we get to Beha'alotcha, and the Torah doesn't use the word leha'alos, and it doesn't even use the word beha'alos. It uses Beha'alotcha. It uses a new language when you light the menorah. And so here Rashi says, oh, wait a minute. Now we have a new phenomenon, so to speak. We have a new word being used, and we need to analyze it independently of what we said before, and we need to explain it by itself, so to speak, because the Torah is using a new word selection, a new word choice. So the Zera Shimshon continues. The od, and more so, shehoil shekosov af bekan beha'alotcha, since the Torah used this word beha'alotcha here, ein od makom lidrosh miloshon zeh shel ha'aloah. We don't need to interpret. We don't have a need to talk about or to interpret the language of causing to rise up. Shetzarech lahadlik ad shetehei shalheves oleh. Until the flame rises by itself. The ihachi, because if so, hayilo lichtov eze pam lashon hadlaka. If the Torah wanted to teach from Beha'alotcha by itself, meaning putting aside the other two mentions of the word laha'alos, if the Torah wanted to mention from Beha'alotcha itself, when it talks about Aaron lighting the menorah, if it wanted to teach specifically from this location, the drasha, independently of causing each flame to rise up, then Zera Shimshon says the Torah actually should have used the word, a different word, than the lashon of ha'alah. It should have used the lashon of hadlaka, of lighting. Da'az have matzinon l'diyuke, because then we would have found the ability to infer lashon laha'alos, this language of to cause to go up. This is the way the psukim work, where they change the language one time in order to see the word that you would expect to be there, and then they change it to something different. In order to hint to us some kind of new learning or limud or teaching. So the Zera Shimshon, and this is a very subtle point, the Zera Shimshon is saying, in Beha'alotcha, we might have expected the Torah actually to use a language of hadlaka, of lighting. When it comes to light the menorah, it would make sense that somewhere at least it should say hadlaka, light the menorah. So we would expect in Beha'alotcha for the Torah to say when Aaron lit the menorah. But the Torah doesn't, and why would we expect that? So the Zera Shimshon says, because the way that drushas and psukim work is that the Torah will give us, usually in general, not always of course, but the Torah will use the word that you expect, the normal word, the word that we would consider appropriate and regular and standard for a certain action or describe a certain situation. The Torah will use it once, and then the Torah will use a different word in a different place, and then that comes to teach the drasha. But here we see every single time it talks about the menorah, it uses the same lashon of causing to go up, as the Zera Shimshon continues. But from the fact that we see every single time the Torah mentions the menorah, it uses this language of causing to go up. We could have easily thought, meaning we might have mistakenly made an assumption, lomar, to say, that maybe this language of causing to go up applies anytime the Torah is talking about lighting a fire. We might think this is also a standard term when it comes to lighting a fire. Kamo lashon hadlaka, like the language of lighting. So hadlaka is the word the Torah can use. Ha'alah is a language the Torah can use. And why might we have thought that? V'hainu al shem, and this is because shahalahav ole, because the flame goes up. So anytime you light a flame, anytime you light a fire, Zera Shimshon says, you might have thought that the Torah could just have easily used in the word ha'alah, a language of causing to go up, like laha'alos or beha'alos. You might have thought that those are words that the Torah could use, just like it could use the word hadlaka. Ume'ayin od hechrech. And from where would we have another proof? Sheyiyah tzarech lahadlik ad shetehei shalheves ola me'eleho. If we did that, if we made that mistaken assumption, right, that salkadad, if we had that thought that the language of ha'alah is just a standard, another alternative standard language to use for lighting something, then where would we have a specific limud about lighting each nair and making sure that it's burning independently before pulling away and going to the next candle? Where would we have that drasha from if we made the mistaken assumption that ha'alah, that causing to go up, is, as we said, is an appropriate language anytime you're talking about lighting a fire, not just talking about the lamps of the menorah. The lochein, and therefore Kosov, the Torah specifically writes over here, Beha'alotcha, when you cause to rise up. Lomar, to say, Shahakohen mechuyev lasos shahalahav ta'aleh. Now we're talking about a specific obligation on the Kohen who's lighting the menorah to make sure that each individual flame goes up and rises independently and on its own before going on to the next lamp and lighting the next lamp. Which is exactly the language that Chazal and that Rashi brings down use, which is that the flame must go up by itself. So let's pause here for a moment. So what the Zera Shimshon has shown us is that if the Torah didn't change its language in this particular place and switch it to Beha'alotcha, then, and it just uses a language of Beha'alos or Laha'alos as it had used back in Parshas Tetzaveh and in Parshas Emor, then we might have become inured, used to, accustomed to this language of Ha'alah, of causing to rise up, to the extent that we would have fallen into a trap, we would have made a mistake, and we would have said, oh, Ha'alah, causing to go up, that's a language just like Hadlaka, of lighting, and there's no special limit to be made whatsoever. So Rashi says, no, pay careful attention, because here the Torah changes its language from what was used before, and it switches to Beha'alotcha, when you cause to rise up, meaning there is a specific individual obligation as part of the mitzvah of lighting the menorah to cause each flame to rise up by itself before moving on to the next lamp. And that limud was only possible based on this language of Beha'alotcha. When the Kohen lighting the menorah is doing that mitzvah, this is the way it has to be done. Ve'od meduyak hachaf, midiyuk hachaf shel Beha'alotcha. And furthermore, Rashi brought down that from the chaf at the end of the word Beha'alotcha, when you cause to go up, Lamdu Rabosenu, Chazal learned the drasha, Shema lo hayasa, that there was a step in front of the menorah, v'chule, etc. The hainu kishet ta'ale ato lehadli, which is connected to when you go up. That's again the chaf, the you. When you go up, you, the Kohen, lighting the menorah. When you go up, you should be physically going up. You should be rising up on stairs, stepping up to light the menorah. And so what the Zera Shimshon has demonstrated for us and has explained for us is that remember we talked in the very beginning about the Zera Shimshon saying things seem to be counterintuitive because Rashi saved his longest explanations and these two different drushes, he saved them Beha'alotcha as opposed to giving them to us in the beginning. So the Zera Shimshon saying, yes, Rashi did that very strategically because Rashi understood that the word lehalos in Tetzaveh and the word lehalos in Emor were not going to be sufficient sources to teach us the limudim that he wanted to teach us, all the limudim that he wanted to teach us. We need Beha'alotcha in our Parsha Be'halot'cha, we need that word to be able to show us everything that we need to learn here, which is that the lashon ha'alah, the lashon of causing to go up, which is used by the menorah, is not standard. The lashon of hadlaka would be the language that we should expect to find, but that's not the language that's used, and therefore we need therefore we have a place to make this drasha of causing the flame to go up. But it's not until we have Beha'alotcha that we understand it's actually an individual obligation on the Kohen who is lighting the menorah to, as part of the mitzvah, to light each flame in a way that the flame is rising up independently before moving on to the next lamp. And we also would not have the ability to make this limud of the Kohen has to step up and take steps up when he lights the menorah. So Rashi carefully waited until the moment when he could teach us all that from the actual word used in the Torah before he explained those things. Yasher koach to everyone for joining with us tonight. And